have no idea why when I clicked on it before it wouldn't be doing that.
You can put this behind your ear, just like that. You don't have to. You could just hold it. But if you do hold it, just keep it about a fist away from your mouth. It is muted right now. Just have to hit that button and it's unmuted. And you just have to tap it. Don't hold it down because that'll turn it off. Thanks. Yeah, Chris. You want to use it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Susan, you been around? Test.
Test.
Testing.
Test, test, test.
Testing.
Evening. We're going to go ahead and get started. Next Friday, how to shoot in hard light situations, Scott Robert Lim. The following Friday, July 12th, will be our people competition. And then July 19th, Chris Murray is going to talk about the subjective landscape. July 19th, our nature competition, projection. The 4th of July fireworks cruise field trip. Registration is closed. And then there's a couple of meetups. July 14th, Fairport Harbor field trip. And I think I've got my slides. Where was my other slide? I missed one. July 13th, Nelson Kennedy Ledges. You can find the details on the website. The Westlake Porter Library exhibit. Final day is June 29th. Photos will be taken down June 30th. And if you have a photo in the exhibit, you can pick it up at the clubhouse. Fundamentals of good photography. It started on June 1st, but from what I understand, talking to Chris and Gary, you can still register. And I believe, Gary, if I'm speaking out of turn, you can kind of go at your own pace. Chris is shaking his head. Thank you, Chris. I've been looking for a competition committee chairman. And we've been looking for a while, and there's been no interest expressed. And so I'm going to stay on as the competition committee chairman for a little while. I've had a couple of people approach me and said they were willing to help out, but I could probably use another one. So I'm going to be looking for a competition committee member. I will teach you everything you need to know. And then we're also looking for a phone photography instructor. As usual, you've seen this slide plenty of times. All the announcements can be seen on our YouTube channel, along with the presentations or the competitions. Click on the icon in the upper right corner. Click on Live, and it will take you to our YouTube channel where you can see the presentation. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the Creative Committee and Dan Sandy. Take it away.
Hey everyone, welcome to the first competition of the season. I happen to be creative, usually a lower attendance, but I don't know, we had a decent turnout today, I think. Just a fair warning, the judges may have been a little more critical than usual, so I'm just softening the beaches now. They might not be as friendly as we're usually used to, so please don't murder anybody in this room, or anybody for that matter, because that's just wrong. With that, I actually do not know the full names of our judges. I know Padma. Oh, here. Dave's going to do it, thankfully.
Our judges for this evening are Stan Borman, Padma Nguva, and David LaBelle. David is a new judge for us. He is a professor at Kent State University and a renowned photographer. Stan Borman and Padma Nguva have judged for us in the past. Padma and Stan have both, well, excuse me, Padma has also given us presentations, so that's what I know about him.
Thank you. All right, with that, I think we're going to get started with the creative. We are going to go through every comment for each person, and thank you for my volunteers. You guys rule. And with that, we're going to get going. Just so you know, the competition, each photo is judged on 3 categories: technique, impact, and composition. Total of 3 points per, total of 9 for a perfect for each judge. Those are put together for the 3 judges. Perfect score could be 27.
First image. Padma says this is a thought-provoking image. Really makes you wonder as to how the image is made. Going black and white is the right decision here. I would clean up the image a bit though, especially in the middle right edge.
35 millimeter FPP Sonic ISO 25. Eric Wethington, 19 points.
Dan said this image does not do a very good job of meeting my definition of creative. I feel its photography creative must result in something unique about the scene that the maker created. Some will expect that it was created after the shot was made, but I believe there are exceptions to this. A creative composition can be creative as an example, but I don't see that in this image.
A whole lot of lobster. Dan Hennessy, 18 points.
Dave says, the foreground movement in the frame creates contrast and depth in the quietly surreal scene. Better toning in shadow areas to achieve visual separation would have been helpful.
Art Gets Out. John, I'm sorry about this, John.
No, it's Amsterdam.
Oh! All right, let's start that again. All right, Amsterdam Street at Dusk. Jennifer Gaba, 22 points.
Conceptually, a good image for storytelling, Padma says. However, it looks artificial. The placement of the elements look like a poorly done cut and paste rather than careful thought process.
Art Gets Out. John Paganini, my apologies once again, 24 points, honorable mention.
I believe this was created by cutting, flipping, and placing one half of the image next to itself flipped. My first reaction was that this was very expertly done and a very nice image was created. Then I noticed that the two halves do not fully line up. I am not sure I fully understand what happened, but to me this does detract from the result, which remains very beautiful.
Asian Festival Abstract. Wendy Kohler, 25 points, third place.
Dave says, not overcomplicating an image goes a long way for an immediate connection. The warm color palette also helps reinforce the mood.
Buffalo Head by Gary Merrick, 23 points.
I love the rim lighting on the subject, Padma says. The texture or background used for sun is suitable and has the desired effect.
Burning Sunset, Bill Keaton, 25 points, third place.
This is not what I expect in a creative image. I suspect that would be true of many judges. In competition, all three judges need to like the image or it will not do well. I don't think that will happen with this image. It certainly is a unique image, but that is not the same thing as creative to me.
Cave Driving, Dan Sandy, 21 points. In my defense, that is a RC car in my garage. Thank you. That I thought so, but not enough.
Dave says, ultimately, it is how one feels when they view a photograph that matters. Regardless of the technique, though the slow shutter is critical, in the end, an ethereal feeling is accomplished.
Circling Water by Bill Keaton, 23 points.
Padma says, I love the double exposure effect in this image, both technically sound and good storytelling. I can see a man reassessing the decision to go to war or contemplating the consequences of it. Black and white is the right choice in this case.
I just lost my place. All right, Civil War by Dave Saborik, 27 points, perfect score, first place.
This certainly qualifies as a creative image. The TV may actually have a picture of the inside of this building, and I like how the green in the TV image goes well with the green on the side of the building. The image on the TV looks like I might expect to find on the inside of the building. I don't feel like it has the wow to make it a great image, however, just a good one. It should make most people smile, and that is a good thing.
Console Television on Porch by Glenn Petranek, 25 points, third place.
The face, be it human or animal, is unmistakable in this still life image. It is kind of creepy and leaves me feeling uneasy.
Depths of an Orchid. Sorry. Rachel Kovacs, 23 points.
Padma says this image represents the diners across the country. Most of them look classic, especially where I am from in New Jersey. That said, I had to take points away for a couple things. In the top right corner of the image, there are severe halos in the edges and also across the edges of the building. And second, perspective correction needed, especially the vertical pole near the right border.
Diner by DJ Casanidi, 21 points.
I see this as a marginally what I personally consider a creative image. It certainly has some obvious modifications, but I would like to see it more likely in your pictorial category. I like the creativity of modifications to make the image clearly improved in some way, and I don't see that here. It is a fun image that most people would enjoy, in my opinion.
Dottie and Daria WC. Gary Merrick, 22 points.
Dave says, a simple technique of using a long shutter speed and stabilized camera with the amber streaking lights makes this an effective attention getter, as if a ghost or spirit is leaving town.
Ennis Light, Jeff Sabo, 20 points.
Very well done eclipse image, Padma says. Love the halo in the middle, and the post-processing is spot on. Bravo.
First to fourth contact, Mark Hansen, 26 points, second place.
Another image that seems to stretch the creative image category, but it is truly a beautiful image in my opinion. I like the leading line of footsteps to where the fisherman stands. It would be better if they didn't nearly intersect with the side of the image. The sunset is awesome. This is truly an excellent sunset image. I would have scored it higher in your pictorial category.
Florida Surfcaster, DJ Casanati. Oh man, I totally screwed that up. I'm sorry. Sorry, DJ. 24 points, honorable mention.
Dave says, sometimes it is the tones in a photograph that make it compelling. Other times it might be the composition that draws you in. In this case, it is both.
Flying Mushrooms by Joseph Miko, 21 points.
Padma says an excellent storytelling. Captured wide array of emotions and post-processing is spot on. Black and white is the right choice in this case.
Ghosties by Mike Kopkis, 24 points, honorable mention.
Stan said a good sharp image of all the flowers and soft of all the background greenery. This is what I like to see in an image like this. I don't feel like I see a lot of creative modification or unique composition in it, however. Another image I might score higher in pictorial. I think I would prefer an image of just the flowers on the left, but the problem is there's no separation for the rest of the flowers. Difficult to get a composition I would like better.
I'm hoping this is the right name. ICM Japanese Private Door by Fran Marino, 20 points.
Dave says, I like the simple contrast of shapes, colors, and tones, and the God-made and man-made lights of this quiet, created scene.
Main Lighthouse by Rich Foley, 22 points.
Lovely pet portrait, Padma says. I like the subtlety of the background texture, which is not competing with the subject. Beautiful lighting, too. I would probably tone down on the painterly effect, though. It looks more cartoonish, but if you bring down on the opacity by 20 to 30%, it would look more like a digital painting.
My Finnegan, Jackie, I think I screwed that up. Did I screw that up, Jackie? Oh, okay, then I didn't. My Finnegan, Jackie Sayeski, 23 points.
Stan said clearly a creative abstract photo. It is also a pleasing composition with good color. I like the way the center of the flower brought a little yellow into the composition to make a clear place for the eye to go to. I feel that the creative adjustments to this image are well done.
New Dimensions by Rachel Kovacs, 22 points.
Dave says, not what I would ever do, but it is a fun, eye-catching, colorful arrangement. Not sure what more to say without going on a rant about artificially created images.
Now and Then, John Pagini. Oh my gosh, I shouldn't even be reading today. My apologies again, John. Paganini, 24 points, honorable mention.
The idea is really good, Padma says. Each of the elements in this image are good on their own, but they did not come together in a cohesive manner. It looks more like a cut and paste. Also, the lighting of the background and foreground don't match up. The ballerina is shot in a studio setting with lights, and putting her in a natural scene means you have to introduce some contrast, shadows, and the subject as well. All in all, a good effort, though.
Pond Grace by Susan Bestel, 24 points, honorable mention.
Stan said, "This image certainly has creative modifications to it, and a decorator would love it if the colors are what is needed. It has good choice, good color and exposure, but I'm not personally attracted that much to it. Perhaps it feels busy to me. The brown dots contribute to the busy feel for me."
Rainy Day Iris by Jill Zabka, 24 points, honorable mention.
Dave says, nice idea in need of better execution. More depth of field and better exposure with the highlights would have helped.
Rough Road Ahead, Dan Sandy, 20 points.
Dynamic image, Padma says. I can be ready with a paper towel to wipe the spills. It puts me in the scene. Very well done.
Strawberry Kersplash by Chris Bosworth, 21 points.
Stan said, "This image has the creativity added as it is captured. The light streaks make it unique and a creative image for me. The aperture is closed down to help get the light streaks, but it also provided the starbursts on the lights. I like the composition and the 4/3 aspect ratio, but I think all the pavement in the foreground is a bit much and would suggest a crop from the bottom. The corner view of the primary subject building is very good."
Summer Heinens, Jeff Sabo, 22 points.
Dave says, talk about eye-catching weird. This image is too fun. I can't imagine a better integration of images.
Surf's Up, Jerry Paino, 26 points, second place.
Padma says this is a beautiful abstract with nice color combination and makes you stare at it for more than a few seconds. In this day and age of thousands of images on social media being thrown at us, that's something to look forward to. However, I think the colors can be desaturated a little to make the bubble stand out more. Color in this case is a bit distracting.
The Alka-Seltzer Swirl by Marge Brady, 24 points, honorable mention.
Stan said, "Wow, this is well done. The creative modifications make the impact stand out and unique. It is impressive how the motion in the foreground follows the landscape curves and the city in the background is sharp and clear. This looks like it must have been painted. Perhaps a painting app was selectively applied to parts of the image, but it is very effective. The curved streaking of the lines is also clear in the water and also follows the landscape."
The City by the Bay by Joe DiStefano, 25 points, third place.
Dave says, I like the color palette and overall feeling of this image. The texture adds much. The posture of the ghost, though I love the feathering of the dress, feels too controlled.
The Haunting by Glenn Petranek, 26 points, second place.
Padma says, lovely long exposure image. There are some hot spots that can be tamed, and the sun rays can be exaggerated a little bit more for added drama. In my opinion, this image looks great in black and white.
The One That Got Away by Jerry Paino. I'm sure it's one of those. 21 points.
Stan says, "I don't know that this follows my understanding of what most people expect in a creative image, but it is well done. The equal repletion of an odd number of flowers is effective against the black background, which sets them off very well. The lean to the left is effective.
Tiny Dancers by Chris Bosworth, 22 points.
Dave says, this was an almost for me. I love the pastel colors and zoom movement, but the mergers of shapes on the left third of the frame bother me.
Trippin' Flamingos, Amy Rudowski. Oh man. Rudowicz. Oh man. I'm sorry, Amy. 22 points.
Padma says good concept and makes me look deep into the image. However, the swirl effect in the middle could be better. What I mean is that the selection of the object needs to be more precise.
Twirly Cow by Bonnie Luxo, 20 points.
Stan says, I know there are filters that will create this effect very easily, but the amount of time it takes is not the primary criteria here. The result is well done and pleasing. I like the rotation that was picked. This could be rotated in many ways, assuming you can adjust the background to it, but the one picked puts the main subject horizontal, and that seems to work well. The soft background to the main subject focuses where you wanted it.
Twisted by Mike Kopkis, 22 points.
Dave says, okay, I must admit I like more traditional, non-artificial images more than over-doctored images. While the couple in the center feel inauthentic, the light, movement, framing, contrast, and even the quarter moon in the sky make for a fun and delightful image.
Twirling at Cedar Point, Fran Moreno, 23 points.
Padma says, one of my favorite images in the competition so far. I like the drama and the lighting, and the contrast of the light and shadow really makes this image impactful. I would clone out the little spot above his head, and I would like to see a little detail in his face.
Vampire Hunter by Eric Wethington, 21 points.
Stan says, it might just be me, but this gives a harsh feeling to me. The very strong verticals seem sort of overwhelming. I suspect my reaction is personal, and others may not feel like this. In our photography art, if we are selling, we need only one person to like it to sell it. When we are competing, we normally need 3 out of 3 judges to like it, and I don't think this image would get that. Hanging on the right wall, this might be great.
Whose Woods These Are? Dave Saborik, 19 points.
Dave says, sometimes people are drawn to shape and colors and find this type of image compelling. I too love the colors and contrasting shapes, but am distracted by the horizontal bars. I would have cropped the image above those bars to allow my free-flowing imagination to stay with the color and curves.
Eerie Reflection, Ron Werman, 20 points.
I like the creative effect in this image, Padma says. I believe this resembles Pet Ventosa technique. Well-made image. I would like to see the people walking down the path a bit more contrasty. Overall, this image can use some more contrast as well. Also, a square crop might look better.
Lonely Walker, Jennifer Gaba, 21 points.
Stan says, clearly a creative adjustment has been applied, and I like the effect. I like the crossing lines leading into the image. The image has a painterly effect, which would be effective in a lot of homes. The only thing that bothers me a bit is that the most prominent person in the image gets confused with one of the windows in the building. I am talking about the man in blue prominently placed on the right in the image.
Lunch at the Art Museum, Jill Zabka, 21 points.
Nice feel from Dave. Nice feel created by the sharp shapes and bold colors. The kind of image one might make large and mount to an empty wall.
Nature's Rhythm, Amy Rudowicz, 22 points.
Padma says, I believe this makes for a nice abstract image. and I would consider this as a wall hanger except for a few artifacts that were replicated, especially in the lower quarter of the image. I like the color palette.
Reflective Moods by Catherine Kengot, or Kengo, 21 points.
Stan said, I like the abstract painting that is just about color. I can see this hanging on a wall in many homes or businesses. I'm not sure I like the dark areas that protrude into the light blue at the top. I suspect if you agree with me, they could easily be removed. Overall, this is a good creative image in my opinion.
South Carolina Marsh ICM, David Karasek, 20 points.
Dave says, beautiful soft color and interesting composite, but it feels stiff, and maybe the subject too large in the frame to carry the dreamy sensation. Even the woman's face doesn't match the soft, flowing background. But remember, this is just one person's opinion.
Swept Away, Jackie Sieski, 25 points, third place.
Padma says, after the very first glance into the image, my thought was great composite. However, when I look closely into it, I see that the selection of both dancers could have been better. The edges of the skin, especially the arms and legs of the woman, have artifacts. The subject is not in focus. I feel like 80% of the image is done well and need to concentrate on redefining the details, such as adding shadows, etc.
Syncopated Souls, Susan Bestel, 23 points. Well, I was going to say that concludes the creative competition. We're going to be getting into the pictorial competition in just one moment.
I'm good.
Can you guys read over there on the left side, or?
Yes.
All right, we got one. How about you, Chris?
I'm good.
You good? Okay. Well, when Dave's ready, we'll switch over to pictorial. Just so you know, the first section, we will not be reading the comments.
I'm not sure this is the right first image.
It should be a light in the darkness.
I've got Asian.
No, dude, these are no comment. You're not going to see comments for something that we're not reading comments for. They just don't exist. All right. A light in the darkness. Eric Botsnick, 24 points, honorable mention. And once again, I'm going to apologize. I am really sorry for screwing up your names. I am horrible with reading. But you get what you pay for, and I'm a volunteer, so deal with it. A Whole Lot of Wine, Dan Hennessy, 20 points. Alf, Amy Rudowicz, 25 points, third place. Ancient Pueblo Ruins, Joe Smith, 22 points. Aurora over Lake Erie, number 1, David Korosek, 25 points, third place. Blue City Seat Screen. Oh my gosh. Let's try that again. Blue City Street Scene. Richard Adder. Oh my goodness. Ader. 23 points. Honorable mention. Blue-winged warbler, Mike Longsdale, 20 points. Brussels by Jennifer Gaba, 20 points. Calsap rhododendron, Belinda Prince, 22 points. Captive Eyes, Eric Botzi, I totally screwed up your name, 24 points, honorable mention. Cheese Slicer in Italy, Susan Bestel, 20 points. Cleaning the Steps, Richard Ader, 24 points, honorable mention. Cleveland Library, Mark Hansen, 23 points, honorable mention. I'm noticing an issue here with our score. Well, maybe not. All right, anyway. All right, Colorado Colors, Joe DiStefano, 23 points, honorable mention. Disc diving, Wally Neal, 22 points. Dune by Joe Smith, 23 points, honorable mention. Follow the Leader, Rick Mills, 22 points. Golden Mist, Gary Wood, 23 points, honorable mention. Head in the Clouds, Catherine Ken Gott, I think, 21 points. Heidelberg Castle Window, Bonnie Luxo, 19 points. I Almost Caught a Fish, David Korosek, 25 points, third place. This doesn't look like Cher. That's not the name of this. That was me thinking. If You Could Turn Back Time, Jackie Sieski, 27 points, first place. No camera, but there's that. Congrats. Another winner. Add that to the pile. All right, let me find where it was. Okay. Indigo Bunting, Mike Longsdale, 22 points. Lemon Daylily, Wendy Kohler, 21 points. Marching of the Sandpipers, Joseph Miko, 23 points, honorable mention. Mr. Wink, Bob Koloweski, 25 points, third place. Nature's Rock Garden, Bob Koloweski, 24 points, honorable mention. Needs Some Work, Ron Werman, 22 points. One Second on the Bridge, Jill Zapka, 23 points, honorable mention. Passing Time, Dennis Wirt, 20 points. Ready to Land, Marge Brady, 24 points, honorable mention. Really Old Book, Rich Folly, 24 points, honorable mention. Silo Surface, Dennis Wirt, 19 points. Takeoff, Catherine Kengat, 22 points. Undulating Pages, Ron Werman, 25 points, third place. Water Ski Splashdown, Wally Neal, 23 points, honorable mention. Willett Iris Garden, Gary Wood, 22 points. Yum, I See Dinner, Belinda Prince, 26 points, second place. All right, we will be reading comments for the remainder of these images.
Stan says, I like this image. The lighting is excellent and the background is great. The subject is interesting and the composition taken at this angle is excellent. If I do border patrol around the edges, I come to the colors behind the men on the right and find them a little distracting. This is no big deal, but the only thing I could think of to suggest a possible improvement.
Asian Festival Scene, Wendy Kohler, 21 points.
Dave says, if we are aiming for how an image makes us feel, this one is a success. It has it all, a universally loved subject, foreground, background working in harmony, and a well-exposed sunset over a peaceful ocean. Beyond this, it has story.
Back to the Sea, Joe Smith, 25 points, third place.
Padma says, I love the bird of paradise flower. In this case, however, I believe the flower is not prominently portrayed. Several competing elements take away from the subject, assuming the subject is the flower. There is a lot of detail in some areas. The selection process did not work in this case.
Bird o' Paradise, Gary Merrick, 21 points.
Stan said, very nice. I have thought about several improvements but rejected them. I think you have this about right. The background clouds feel like they swirl around the ride. If these were created to do that, it was well done. The only thing I can think of that might improve it is a horizontal flip, which would put the bottom of the pillar in the lower left to lead us into the image. If you try it, you might like it. If you don't, leave it the way it is.
Chaos by Glenn Petranik, 23 points, honorable mention.
Dave says, the dreamlike sky helps set a mood. However, sculptures blending into the building, same tone, makes this hard to read. Different light, different time of day would have helped.
Cleveland Art Museum, Mark Hansen, 19 points.
Padma says, beautiful portrait. Composition and lighting on the subject is very good. I would like to see more details in the shadow. I would add a little spotlight on the bird in the post-processing.
Coming in for a landing, Eric Botsky, 22 points.
Stan said, I like the blurred background, and in this case, the blurred foreground object. I do not like that what he is holding in his hands is blurred to the point that I can't identify it. I consider this an important part of the subject and of the story of the image and want to identify it. His face and the tonal values of the monochrome conversion are good.
It's a guitar, just so you guys know. Devil's Angel, Dan Sandy, 21 points.
Dave says, I like contrasts of shapes and color and the general composition, but the frame would likely have been stronger had the photographer waited until the subjects reached that open space in front of them. This would have provided better separation between man, dog, and background.
Driftwood Beach, Mike Longsdale, 20 points.
Padma says, great aerial view of the scene. I like the color scheme. The various tones of green are pleasing to the eye, and there's good depth of field. This composition works well, but I think cropping out approximately 1/5 on the right side of the image would improve the composition.
Dublin Farms from the Air, Bonnie Luxo, 20 points.
Stan said, the story of the tourists taking cell phone pictures could not be better told. I am kidding, but it is true. That is part of the story of the place, and it is interesting. The dome is often in haze, and if it was, you did an excellent job of taking it out without the image looking cooked. I think this is an interesting and creative treatment of Taj Mahal photography.
Entrance to the Taj, Richard Ader, 23 points, honorable mention.
Dave says, this is a lovely, calming image. That said, perhaps more dramatic lighting with shadows might have made this more compelling. I feel like I journey into the image without a reward at the end.
Everlasting Bliss, Rochelle Kovacs, I totally screwed that up earlier, 20 points.
Padma says, beautiful layered image. I like the awesome sun rays. This image makes for a wall hanger. If I were to suggest, it would be to crop it in such a way that the sun is off center.
Florida Sunrise, 24, by Joseph Miko, 24 points, honorable mention.
Stan says, I like their expressions and you captured them like you were taking portraits. I first reacted negatively to all the negative space of empty water, but then I decided that makes this image unique and interesting. The portraits are excellent, but judges might react negatively to the negative space. You need 3 out of 3 judges to do well in competition.
Geese Chatting, DJ Casanidi, 23 points, honorable mention.
Dave says, lovely light against a dark background, perhaps making the original more dominant and the shadow subordinate would have, it says, perhaps making the original more dominant and the shadow subordinate would have given the photograph more life and personality. When two things are equal, usually the strength and impact are compromised.
Gyroscopic Geometry, Mike Kopkis, 26 points, second place.
Padma says, kudos to the maker of this image to capture the heart shape. The darkened background really brings out the texture and light in the subject.
Love on the Iceberg, Bill Keaton, 22 points.
Stan said, clear as a bell and every petal seems perfect. The background is soft and not distracting, an excellent image, and I like the square format for this round subject. I like the green background on the left and black on the right. To be perfect, you might have taken out debris or bugs or something, but that is fine in pictorial photography. Well done.
Multicolor Dahlia, Marge Brady, 23 points, honorable mention.
Dave says, good subject, average pedestrian photo. This is a dynamic, often photographed scene, but it needs something. Late light, foreground, scale something to represent the power, beauty, and magnificence of this natural event.
Old Faithful, Eric Wellington, 20 points.
Padma says, I like the trio of the different colored flowers portrayed here. I understand this is pictorial category and it's open, but I personally do not let any texture or font filter overpower my images. My suggestion would be to reduce the opacity of whatever the post-processing or filter effect.
Patriotic Petunias, Chris Bosworth, 21 points.
Dan says, I like the high contrast on the pelican. He is crisp, well-focused, and clear. I would prefer that the background on the right was softer and less distracting. I would also prefer that his bill would stand out from the background more. In the monochrome conversion, playing with the color sliders should be able to accomplish this, assuming the bill started out as a different color than the rocks. Despite all my suggestions, I think this is a strong image.
Pelican, Dave Saborik, 23 points, honorable mention.
Dave says, stretching the lines of Pictorial, this is an eye-catcher with a story. The ambient light, motion, and flash work together in a centered composition.
PhD Hood Duke 2024. Fran Marino, 23 points, honorable mention.
Kevin says, one of my favorite images so far. The deep red of the flower conveys very well against the pale greens. Blurred background helps the subject to stand out. The curve on the petal is particularly interesting.
Red Rose, Rich Folly, 21 points.
Stan says, a good job telling the story of this harbor, but I expect more than that in competitions. As a former recreational sailor, I find this image interesting, but I'm not sure that this is true for the general public. I think the shot is well taken, but I would lighten the small boats off the left side of the dock. I like the sailboats in front of the hill on the right. Notice how much better they show against that background than the ones against the sky.
Restaurant Neon Sign at Pier, Dan Hennessy, 20 points.
Dave says, good composition using the foreground foliage and water reflection to lead the eye to the bridge. I do think underexposing a little on the highlights would have made it more beautiful and dramatic. It is a scene worth working at different times of the day.
Riverview, Rick Mills, 20 points.
Great perspective, Padman says. This would make a great black and white image. I suggest making it more symmetrical. Generally, it's better to pay more attention in the field while composing for symmetry, but it can also be achieved in post by using transform tools. Also, I would suggest cleaning out any distracting artifacts, such as broken concrete in the bottom of the pillar, and eliminating trees would make the image stronger.
Spread Your Wings, Jerry Paino, 20 points.
Stan said, I like the gentle curves of the green hills and the three trees. This is like the traditional lone tree shot, but there are three of them, still an odd number, and it works. This is in a pictorial category, and you can pretty much do what you want. I would recommend working on that sky to bring out the clouds more. That should be easy with modern software, and you're not in a reality division, so you can adjust as you see fit. Nice image.
Three Trees, Dennis Wirt, 24 points, honorable mention.
Dave says, the soft purple hue is beautiful. Nice time of day. If I was wishing, I would want a tighter crop from the bottom to push the image more horizontally, minimizing that bit of dead negative space in the water at right. It feels out of balance.
Tuffa Sunrise, Bob Koloweski, 22 points.
Padman says this really shows the observation power and timelessness of the maker. The lighting is beautiful. I like just a hint of feet walking by. Adds mystery to the image. Good depth of field as well. However, I would clone some objects, especially middle left side, which are distracting and not adding to the image.
Water on the Floor, Wally Neal, 23 points, honorable mention. That is the final image. I just want to say thank you again for competing in tonight's competition, and I'd like to thank all the volunteers for making this happen. And
And by the way, you guys matter, and somebody cares about you. Might not be me, but somebody does.